when you're 0-4, man, the reason you start to question, why am I doing this still? And you say, you know what, I need to get another win. And those type of fighters oftentimes can be very dangerous. Yeah. They'll do anything to win.
What's up, Barnhill family? Welcome back to the channel.
Yo.
So, Nick, there's been a lot of fighters that have returned from retirement, taken some time off, and come back. One of the ones that I didn't think we'd ever see again in the UFC is the Cupcake, Miesha Tate.
Yeah.
She's coming back. She's going to be taking on Marion Reneau. It's going to be the co-main event on the Islam Makhachev versus Thiago Moises card. It's very surprising to me, but I'm actually kind of interested to see Cupcake back in the Octagon.
Yeah, me too. And she's one of those rare talents in the sport where she's done a lot of really good things inside the Octagon, but you knew when she left the sport, even if it was only for a temporary short time, that she was going to go do great things outside of the sport and maybe outside of the Octagon or outside of the cage. And, you know, all fighters, they get that itch. You've seen it with the Chuck Liddells and the Tito Ortizes of the world, that even when they're approaching 50, they're itching to fight again. Mike Tyson,
Oscar De La Hoya.
Exactly. Everybody's starting to get that fighting bug again. And I don't blame Miesha Tate for it. She's still really young. And I think that while there is a lot of females in the UFC right now that are kind of making a name for themselves, and the UFC is just churning out potential stars in the women's divisions, it's always good to see a legend in the sport come back, and maybe she'll get a couple wins again and put herself in title contention, or if not, if she's not able to compete with the level of girls that are out there anymore, then you can build a couple girls off of somebody like Miesha Tate. And she's a veteran of the sport, so she understands how this business operates. But, you can't write her off just yet, because I think that she's probably the favorite in this fight, and for good reason. Yeah,
it's kind of she's a slight favorite. Yeah. It's a very close as far as odds go. And listen, Miesha Tate, you would think she was the older fighter here, but she's actually 10 years younger than Marion Reneau, if you can believe it.
Crazy.
34 for Miesha and 44 for Marion. Both of these girls have had some losses in their last couple of outings. Marion Reneau has lost 4 fights in a row. Her most notable win was a submission over Jessica Andrade, but that happened back in 2015. Miesha was 0-2 in her last 2 before she retired in 2016. One of those being to the GOAT herself, Amanda the Lioness Nunes. This is going to be kind of a competitive fight, but here's the reality. 130 women's bantamweight and women's 145 desperately needs some star power.
Yeah.
Amanda Nunes has cleared out both divisions, and she's just continuing to rinse and repeat. So Miesha Tate putting some new blood back in the division, and as you said, if she can get a couple of wins, maybe the rematch with Amanda, albeit probably not a super competitive rematch, would offer a big name for the Lioness to stand across the Octagon from.
Yeah.
And if not, if Miesha in fact cannot come back and contend with the top of the heap, then maybe there's some young ladies who are still trying to build their name and still trying to build their star power. They could get a great win over Cupcake, the former champion, and be somebody who rises due to the opponent level. And that's kind of what we've been missing at these two divisions. Is you have great people like Lauren Murphy, JoJo Calderwood, and people even in the heavier weight classes that are not getting the shine that they deserve because the depth is not there. And so a big name being inserted, and I know the two ladies I just mentioned are 125ers, but it's even more so at 35 and 45. Yeah. So I think that Miesha coming back could be good for her and possibly others in the division.
Yeah, I agree with that. And every single girl on the roster would love to get locked into the Octagon with Miesha Tate. Not because it's an easy night out by any means, but because she's such a big name. You look at the placement of the card, which is generally the most important aspect of fighting, and where you are, where you sit on the card largely depends on how big your fight is, how much the UFC is promoting you, and she's coming back as a co-main, which means she hasn't lost much steam with the organization at all, and anyone would be lucky to share an octagon with her. When we talk about the X's and O's of this fight, I think it's hard to count out somebody like Marion Reneau, because when you're 0-4, man, the reason you start to question, why am I doing this still? And you say, you know what, I need to get another win. And those type of fighters oftentimes can be very dangerous. Yeah. They'll do anything to win. They might train a little bit harder. They might have lost a little bit of their motivation and training for the last few fights. But if they're determined to keep fighting and they're not just doing it for a paycheck, sometimes those can be really dangerous opponents to get locked in the cage with. And Miesha Tate, I don't think she's doing this for the money. I think she truly has an itch to scratch, and the only way you can do that is by fighting somebody else in the octagon. So I kind of see Miesha Tate having to weather a storm early on, because this girl's going to want to get her out of there quickly, get a win for the first time in a long time and over a big opponent, maybe her biggest opponent to date. And Miesha Tate just has to be ready for that, because you don't want to come in, make your return, and then get wiped out really quickly.
Yep. Yeah, and that's the thing. She hasn't fought since 2016.
Yeah.
There may be an opportunity early on for Reneau to come in and do some damage early and say, hey, welcome back to the octagon.
Ring
I'm going to
rust
punch you in the
sucks,
face a few times. Ring rust is a you-know-what, isn't
Right.
it? And so I think we might see that. Marion Reneau's 44. She's 0-4 in her last 4. This is a clear fighting for your contract sort of situation, but it just so happens to be a situation where she's in the co-main event. So
Right.
it's on an Islam Makhachev fight, the guy that's getting a ton of hype right now nonetheless. So if you're fighting for your contract, it's kind of a good position to be in that circumstance. You know, you have a big name across from you. You're a co-main event. It's on a big fight night card, and a lot of eyes are going to be watching you. So you can turn the tides and make everybody forget about the last 4 performances with a big win here over Miesha Tate. And for that reason, and maybe the fact that Miesha is, going to demonstrate some ring rust and some, show her time out of the octagon has caught up to her, I'm kind of thinking Marion might get the job done here. I think it's going to go decision, and I think it's going to be back and forth, but I think she might be able to steal the first round, Miesha come back in the second, and then they fight for who really wants it in the third. But I'm leaning towards Marion to win this fight via decision.
Nice. And yeah, everybody knows Miesha Tate's tough to get out of there. She's a dog, and just when you think it's time to counter out, that's when she'll roll out of some sort of crazy armbar or spin into something else and take a fight over. So I also kind of see this one going decision. It's probably a safe bet to bet that this will be, going to the judges' scorecards. Split decision is what I'm thinking as well. You called it pretty well. I think we're going to go 1-1, and then they're going to have to figure it out in the third round. And maybe the judges will be a little bit confused as to who's going to pick which rounds, and I think they're going to be close competitive rounds. But, ring rust is a real thing. There's only a handful of fighters that have ever been able to show us that it doesn't affect them. Dominic Cruz, people
George
like
St.
that.
Pierre.
George St. Pierre. But almost everybody gets plagued by a little bit of ring rust. So hopefully Miesha can get it out, shake the cobwebs off quick, have a great first and second round, and then maybe get the victory. But it's definitely going to be an entertaining fight. I'm happy to see some fresh blood, some legendary blood back in the female division, and I can't wait for this co-main event.
Me either. Guys, let us know. Are you excited for the return of Miesha Cupcake Tate? And do you think she's going to get past Marion Reneau? Let us know in the comments who wins the fight and how. As always, if you've enjoyed the video, a like, comment, and subscribe helps us out. It goes a long way. And if you listen to audio podcasts, we appreciate a listen there as well. Guys, have a wonderful day, and we will see you in the next one.
Peace.